Hello and welcome to World News on TVP World. My name is Anna Kalczyńska. East or west? The elections in the Czech Republic have concluded. Polling stations closed at 2 p.m. Now, the outcome of the vote will determine which configuration will form the next government. The favorite is the opposition ANO movement of former Prime Minister Andrej Babiš. And at stake as the elections are not only economic issues, but also the future direction of Czech foreign policy towards the EU, Ukraine and Russia. And we head now to Prague, where polling stations have closed and the first results are trickling in. For the first time, Czechs abroad were able to vote by post, and turnout is significantly higher than 4 years ago. Our correspondent Aleksandra Bulenda is at ANO's election headquarters, where Andrej Babiš's party is hoping to turn that momentum into a path back to power. Aleksandra, good morning. So what do we know so far?
As you can see, now we are at the ANO headquarters here in Prague, and Andrej Babiš will be speaking right behind me in just a couple of hours. Now, the first preliminary results are in with 46% almost districts counted. Now, turnout has been strong with 68.5%, and the number shows that Andrej Babiš ANOS is surging well ahead, now with nearly 39% of the vote. The centre-right Spolu coalition trails at nearly 20%. The Liberal mayors and independents, the Stan movement, at over 10%. So while the Tomio Okamura's far-right SPD party sits at 8%. Now motorists, a new anti-establishment movement, are at 7.5%, and the Progressive Pirates are at 7%. Now mind you, Stachilo, the left-leaning alliance, which was quite a talk of a town recently, falls short of parliament with less than 5%. But this contrast isn't playing out here at home, because abroad, now we are talking about abroad, turnout has broken records. For instance, in London, now voters queued for nearly an hour outside the embassy. In Berlin, for instance, ballots tripled compared to 2021, and in Bratislava, soldiers on NATO duty joined hundreds of voters. And when we are talking about reactions of voters, they were quite strong, and let's hear them right now.
The current government doesn't work for us. They lied to us. For example, during the last election, they promised not to raise taxes.
We know how to change it, how to improve your lives, and to help you to have more money. So maybe it's simple.
The head of this political party, Mr. Babiš, he's an oligarch, and he doesn't have opinions. He only has interests.
So now this year also marks the first in that Czech election with postal voting. Now in Germany alone, more than 1,300 envelopes had been received by Saturday morning, though they only be open once the poll closed at 2 p.m. So they are counting them as we speak. So the results continue to come tonight. But the big question is still whether ANO can transform its commanding lead into a majority government. Babiš says it is within reach. Back to you.
Aleksandra Bulenda from Prague. Thank you so much, Ola. Now, Andrej Babiš, a billionaire and former prime minister linked to numerous scandals in the Czech Republic, has a chance to become prime minister again. According to polls, his ANO party is expected to win this weekend's parliamentary elections with a large margin, as we've just seen. We asked political science expert Petr Just for his predictions regarding such a scenario.
If Andrej Babiš wins and if he is charged with forming the government, then of course we can expect some changes. The question is how radical, how substantial these changes will be. When you already mentioned the issue of a foreign policy, the issue regarding Ukraine, EU, this will very much depend on who actually will be his coalition partners. Andrej Babiš himself, in the past days, in the last days of the election campaign, took some strong rhetorics regarding pro-EU, pro-NATO and anti-Russian, which was a bit surprising because he has never been so strong in these proclamations, given especially who might be his potential coalition partner. And that's going to be the fact or the factor which will decide how sharp the potential change in the Czech foreign policy will be.
At least 30 people are wounded after Russian forces hit a railway station and a passenger train in Shostka in the Sumy region of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the attack was conducted with drones. Zelensky shared a video of the aftermath of the attack in a post on Telegram, in which he underlined that Russians had to be aware that they were attacking civilians. The Sumy region has been attacked relentlessly over the past 24 hours. On Friday night, Russian shelling caused a fire in a residential building, and on Saturday morning, Russian drones damaged multiple private houses, non-residential buildings, and an agricultural warehouse containing 700 tons of grain. Ukrainian services are on the scenes, putting out fires and repairing the damage. Munich airport said on Saturday it was gradually resuming flights with delays expected through the day, hours after both runways were closed for the second time in less than 24 hours due to the drone sighting. Dozens of flights have been diverted or cancelled, stranding some 6,500 passengers. European aviation has repeatedly been thrown into chaos in recent weeks by drone sightings that some authorities have blamed on Russia. The Kremlin has denied any involvement.
I don't know how it's going on, though. My flight got cancelled last night, like everybody else's probably. So I'm now waiting to see how I can get back my bag, because I got another flight from another airport 200 kilometers away. So I'm trying to figure out this. So we're just staying in line and waiting for somebody to support us, I guess.
Well, we spent the night in the airport. We slept here. I think that the closing is valid. You know, we still have a war going on in Europe.
A joint drone defense center is being set up, according to the German Interior Minister. This comes in response to repeated airspace violations carried out by drones across Europe.
There is still no precise information about the type of drones involved. Whenever drones are spotted, we must determine whether they pose a direct threat or are a provocation. What is clear, however, is that there are more and more sightings of drones over critical infrastructure. We are therefore responding to this politically. A joint drone defense center is currently being set up. It is crucial to bear in mind, however, that the danger posed by drones is increasing not only because of their number, but also because of their quality. It is imperative that we respond quickly.
A significant fuel shortage has prompted authorities in Crimea to implement temporary rationing measures for retail gasoline sales. Residents have shared their thoughts on the crisis, which has been exacerbated by Ukrainian drone strikes on oil facilities.
You have to stand in line for gasoline for about 2 hours, probably. Plus, not all gas stations have it. I have to look for one on the internet. It seems to me that the crisis will last quite a while. On Monday, I waited for about 40 minutes. The line was about 500 meters long.
I don't think there will even be any improvements until the new year. Why? The shortage is affecting the whole of Russia. My wife just came back from Arkhangelsk. It's exactly the same situation there. There's no fuel at the gas stations. Since Sevastopol only has 2 gas station chains, TES and OTAN, they can set their own prices. Maybe it would be worth having some competition. Perhaps then things would change.
Well, they've already set refueling limits. Had they set these limits originally, there would have been enough gasoline for everyone. Of course, we also need to transport more gasoline into Crimea.
The prospects for the end of the Hamas-Israeli war in Gaza are looking good. Hamas has positively responded to US President Donald Trump's peace proposal, hoping to hold talks to hammer out details of the conflict resolution. Progress towards a ceasefire notwithstanding, Israel continues its military operations in Gaza.
Though it doesn't look like it for now, a peace deal might be in the offing following a proposal from Donald Trump earlier this week.
I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left.
Hamas responded to the proposal, agreeing to the most important point.
To achieve a ceasefire and a full withdrawal from the Strip, the movement announces its approval to release all occupation prisoners, both living and deceased.
It prompted Trump to call on Israel to cease its war operations in Gaza.
Israel must immediately stop the bombing of Gaza so that we can get the hostages out safely and quickly.
Though Israel didn't follow Trump's instruction to stop the bombardment of Gaza, Tel Aviv said it's ready to release all hostages.
The chief of the General Staff instructed to advance readiness for the implementation of the first phase of the Trump plan for the release of the hostages.
This development is to the content of many a Palestinian.
We've been waiting a long time for this news, because as you can see, the country has descended into chaos and there's no security. All we see is horror, fear and hunger. This means a lot to us Palestinians that Hamas agreed on the deal, on stopping the massacres and hunger and the war and mass murder in Gaza. This means a lot to Palestinians.
And the relatives of the hostages.
We're very grateful for President Trump for his initiative. We're very grateful for all the moderate Arab countries that are within this thing. We're almost marking 2 years. Today is day 729. The hostages must be back.
The international community also praised the potential deal.
Hamas's stated readiness to release hostages and engaged on the basis of the recent US president's proposal is encouraging. This moment must be seized.
But people across the world continue to protest, saying Trump is showing favoritism towards Israel.
It appears to be a peace plan on the surface, but when examined closely, one can clearly see Trump's bias toward Israel. This peace agreement seems to reflect the agenda of Israel and Netanyahu's dangerous ambitions. The peace plan is a proposal that would theoretically have relatively positive consequences, but prevents the freedom of many and still is not the salvation of Gaza. Until there is a recognition of the Palestinian state, I don't think we can talk about peace.
And they're also protesting against the Israeli army's recent interception of Gaza-bound flotilla carrying humanitarian aid for the war-stricken.
I feel sad and angry because, our brothers and sisters in Gaza are starving.
We condemn Israel's attack on the Global Solidarity Flotilla, which was carrying food and medicine for Palestine.
The activists on board the ships were arrested. Some of them refused to be deported and are being held in prison waiting for a trial. 4 of them are Polish nationals, including a ruling coalition MP Franciszek Sterczewski.
If you are seeing this video, it means I've been kidnapped by the Israeli occupational forces in international waters, as I was carrying out the humanitarian mission of the Global Summit Flotilla.
After the flotilla with activists was seized by Israeli forces, a new flotilla with medical workers is now headed for Gaza. For TVP World, I'm Piotr Miszczuk.
And on that, we conclude this edition of World News. But since the Czech general elections have concluded, a special edition is coming right after, and World Talks with Ashim Kumar and Marcin Zaborowski. Please stay tuned.